What's up, guys? How you doing? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the chances of winning a disability case in New York City. If you're new to this channel, my name is Emmett Irwin. I'm a Social Security disability lawyer, and two of the questions, the main questions my clients ask before they apply for any kind of benefits, especially Social Security disability, is one, what are my chances of winning? And two, how do I make those chances better? So in this first video, we're going to be answering the first question. And in the second video, which is next week, we're going to be answering the question, how do I make my case better? So make sure you like and subscribe, the buttons down below, so you can catch that next video right when it comes out next week. The first question, again, is what are my chances of winning? It depends on what state you live in, what city you live in, even what zip code that you live in. So in New York City, it turns out it depends on the borough you live in, and actually sometimes what neighborhood within the borough you live in. So for example, in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, you get the Manhattan judges. So you could get a judge with a 25% approval rating, which sucks. But if you live down the street in Cypress Hills, you get the Queens judges, and you could get a judge with a 94% approval rating, which is amazing. It's kind of bananas in New York, which I think is what we all expected, right? All right, so let's do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break down some basics. Basically, what are the three stages in the Social Security disability application and appeal process? And stage number one is called the initial stage. And that's, or the initial level, and that's when you first apply for benefits and your application is being processed by Social Security. They're doing a medical determination to see if you're disabled. That's the first stage. You haven't been denied yet. You're just going through the process basically for the first time when you apply. Then after you get denied, you're going to have the opportunity to file a request for reconsideration, which is the fancy name for an appeal of your Social Security disability denial. And when you file that request for reconsideration, you'll be in the reconsideration stage or the reconsideration level. And they're just basically going to be doing the same exact thing they did in the initial level, which is just do another medical determination of your case without a judge. If your reconsideration gets denied, which most do, then you'll have the opportunity to file a request for hearing. And at that stage, you will get a judge assigned to you, and you will have a hearing as long as you go through with it. You'll have a hearing. You'll be stuck with the judge that you're assigned to, usually 99% of the time. So don't try to judge shop. And that's what we'll be talking about, is basically what the chances of winning at the initial stage are, what the chances of winning at the reconsideration stage is, and what the chance of winning at the hearing stage, which depends a lot on what city or part of city you're in and what judge you get. Let's do Manhattan first. Go to this really cool website, ebilaw.com. Yes, there it is. And there is a cool guy. Hey, who did that? Then click on Disability Benefits blog. When you see the blog search bar, type in the zip code you're looking for. Here we're looking for downtown Manhattan, so we will put in that zip code, click on the article, and scroll down. You see that downtown Manhattan has a great 81% approval rate. Then scroll down. As we mentioned before, New York has 41% at the initial stage, 17% at the reconsideration stage. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see judge ratings for Manhattan, New York. Click on that to get the individual judge stats. Here we see 73%, which is really good, and 25%, which is horrible. That sucks, as I mentioned before. We don't count judges with less than 50 decisions. Next, let's move on to Brooklyn. We'll do the same thing we did for Manhattan for Brooklyn. Click on Flatbush, New York. We see 88% in Brooklyn, and again, 41% at the initial stage, 17% at the reconsideration stage. Scroll all the way down for judge ratings for Brooklyn. We'll scroll down to see the individual case approval ratings for each Brooklyn judge, and it is really good. We have 3 great judges in Brooklyn, one at 81%, 2 at 69%. We don't count the ones with less than 50 decisions, FYI. Now on to the Bronx. Let's put in a Bronx zip code here, 10451. Click on the article for the South Bronx. Scroll down. 79% is not as good as the other boroughs. It's in fact the worst. However, approval rates are the same across New York State. 41% at initial, 17% at reconsideration. Now let's click on judge ratings for the Bronx. Scroll down and we can see that it is not that great. 51% for 2 judges is pretty terrible. Now scrolling even further down, we can see a couple good judges. Claimants in the Bronx, if you go to a hearing, you are stuck with the short end of the stick. I'm sorry to report. Remember, we don't count judges with less than 50 decisions. Next is Queens. Type your zip code in the search bar. Here we use a Queens zip code, 11351. Click on Flushing, Queens, and that will show us a 90% rating, which is the best in New York City. Queens claimants, you are really fortunate, not because of the case approval ratings at the first 2 levels, but click on judge ratings for Queens, New York, and you will see these judges are just incredible. Staten Island, stand up. Here we go to Staten Island, 10301, which is East Staten Island. And we'll scroll down. We're going to see the same thing for all of New York, 41%, 17% at the first 2 levels. Then scrolling down even further, we're going to go to the judge ratings for Jersey City, because Staten Island people, you get the Jersey City judges, which is not that bad. As you will see, scrolling down, these judges have pretty good case approval ratings, except for one, 49%. That is not good. We don't count the judges with less than 50 decisions. So there it is. Chances to win a Social Security disability case in New York City and all 5 boroughs by zip code. Overall, Queens is number one, 90%. But it takes 2 to 3 years on average to get through the entire process. And that's the case for all the boroughs. It's about 2 to 3 years. So the application stage, 38%, or also called the initial stage or the initial level. The reconsideration stage or the reconsideration level is 17% in all of New York for all the boroughs, and that sucks. So you're probably going to get denied twice, and you'll probably have to go to a hearing. But the good news is all the boroughs are pretty good. Queens is the best. You're almost always going to win your case at Queens, unless you're one of these people that's just going through the process and not really disabled. And if you're watching this video and you're one of those people that is not disabled, but just going through the process to get benefits, my advice is to go get a job. If you're not disabled, go get a job. You're clogging up the process for the rest of the people, for my clients, and that sucks. Okay, like I said, Queens is the best at 90% chance to win. 81% chance to win at the hearing level. That's amazing. Brooklyn is next with 88% chance to win. You're pretty lucky in Brooklyn, except if you live in Bed-Stuy or Sheepshead Bay, then you're out of luck, but still have a pretty good chance of winning. The hearing stage at Brooklyn is a 74% chance of winning. Then after that, it's going to be Staten Island, where you get Jersey City judges, which aren't too bad. Overall, you have an 84% chance of winning. And then Manhattan is 81%. And the Bronx is the worst. The Bronx, you guys, get the rotten end of things. I don't know, maybe that's just the way it is. Shout out to the Bronx, but you only have a 79% chance of winning from the beginning to the end, which is still a pretty good chance. I mean, it's almost 80%. If you get the judge with the 25% chance of winning in Manhattan, you will probably not win your case and you'll probably have to appeal. But a really strong case could win in front of that judge. We just don't know what that judge is looking for in terms of medical condition, but we know the kinds of evidence the judge is looking for, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in the next video. If you get a judge with around a 50% case approval rating, which is pretty common in the 5 boroughs, you're going to have a significant chance to get one of those judges. And if you do, you're going to need a ton of medical evidence, and then you have a chance to win. I will talk about that in the next video. Again, subscribe so that you get a notification when that video comes out next week. And if you get a judge in like the 80 to 90% range, you're pretty golden, because as I said before, they're going to approve almost everybody that has a first hearing, that has never had an unfavorable decision at a hearing before. That's a pretty good feeling to get one of those judges. I'm Emmett Irwin. Again, thank you for tuning in. And if you like this video, hit like. Please subscribe again, and I'll see you next time.